So I found a shopping app where you can buy a stuffed animal. Normal so far. Here's the description on one of them. 15, female, quiet, submissive, shy, condition satisfactory. For a stuffed animal on an app that your teenager probably has installed right now. And I need somebody to explain to me, genuinely, like I am 5, why a used toy needs an age, a gender, a personality, and a condition rating like it's a returnable appliance. Because I've bought used things before. Nobody has ever asked me if they were submissive. That's not a thing. That has never been a thing. Now, before the comments explode, the fact checkers say there's no confirmed trafficking here. And I'm going to cover that honestly, I promise. This isn't that kind of channel. But I am a father, and no confirmed trafficking does a lot of heavy lifting in a sentence that also contains the words 15, female, submissive, satisfactory condition. So tonight we're not asking if is it real. We're asking a better question. Why is this even possible? Why have we not learned? Why does this app let a listing look like this at all? And why is everyone's first move to calm me down instead of fix it? I'm Ethan Page. Let's turn the pages. Okay, now let me show you what people started finding. And I want you to all have the same reaction I did, which was to tilt my head like a confused dog. Vinted, secondhand shopping app, European to $8 billion company. I want you to remember that number. It all matters later. You sell your old clothes on it. Normal. People started finding toys, stuffed animals, an Etch-a-Sketch, a teddy bear, priced like supercars, €1,000, 6,000. One plush bear was 31,000 euros. 31,000 euros. Which for my American friends, of course, that means a little bit higher, pretty substantially higher for US dollars, for a used teddy bear, which is a normal thing that definitely happens and is real, of course. And the descriptions. This is where my head tilted all the way over. Bunny, 3-year-old, female, 91 centimeters, 13 kilos. Small, blue-eyed, and obedient. And why does a bunny have to have a weight in kilograms? Why does it have eyes that are a specific color that matters? When have you ever in your life needed to know if a plush toy was obedient? Obedient to whom? It's a bunny. It doesn't take orders. You describe a thing that way when the thing isn't the thing, right? An Etch-a-Sketch went for 6,000 euros, described as shy, anxious, and noisy. And then a blue stuffed animal went for 4,200 euros. Its description was 12 years / 152. Now, I have links for all of this stuff I'll leave in the description for things. But 152 centimeters is the average height of a 12-year-old. But sure, plush toy. Let me see. Actually, I'm actually curious now because I had the I had the conversion, but I don't have it off the top of my head now. Oh yeah, I mean absolutely. Yeah, it's like 5 feet. It's 4'11" to 5'1", depending on who's estimating your inch there, because some people overestimate inches and centimeters, I guess. But anyways, we'll say it's 5 foot even. So yeah, that's literally the average height of a 12-year-old, small 12-year-old, but I'd say the average height of a 12-year-old. I, for example, just random note, I was about 5 foot even when I was 10, but I think that's just because I was a boy. Obviously, this topic is not about me, so stay with that. But anyways, an Etch-a-Sketch was listed as anxious. It's noisy. How many Etch-a-Sketches have you known that were noisy? It's a children's drawing toy, by the way. It doesn't have a nervous system, does not have feelings, unless the word anxious is describing something that can be anxious, something with a heartbeat. And I'm supposed to look at that and go, oh yes, Quirky pricing on a vintage toy. No. My brain is not designed that way. It will not do that. I have a kid. Okay. It's not just toys, by the way. A French newspaper called 20 Minutes ran their own investigation. They found an air conditioner remote control listed for 20,000 euros. So I think I have a link for that one too, readily available. Of course, they want my cookies. These guys want my cookies. Let me make sure this looks good on the...
You guys remember when the WRX crowd was all about...
We'll edit that out. Everything wants to be an ad. Let me try that again. Hopefully I don't get an ad this time, huh? Okay. And if I do, that's fine. Yeah. There we go. Is it at least off this time? I think it is. Okay. I got bombarded with an ad there. Okay, so what I was trying to say, they have an air conditioner remote control that they found that was listed for 20,000 euros. A French newspaper found it. Euronews is covering it. There we go. So there we go. This is not me that's just covering this, but I'll just be frank. Here in America, where our government openly protects pedophiles, you're not going to hear about this in your nightly news. You're not going to hear about this in your 5 o'clock news. You're not going to hear about this on Good Morning America because it's not trendy and it doesn't make people smile. It also doesn't make people enraged, which I think we all need to be at this point in time, right? But let me get back on track. It was a remote for an air conditioner that was listed for 20,000 euros. That's a Honda Civic for a remote that basically makes you get colder on demand. Either that's that's the single most delusional pricing in the history of commerce, or the remote was never the product. And I keep landing on the second one. I don't want to. It just kind of keeps happening. Now, why is this even possible? That's chapter 2 here. I didn't even title chapter 1. My apologies. But chapter 2 is why is this even possible? Because for me, I'm getting a little disgusted personally. I don't know. I feel like this is happening way too frequently. Every time we get hip to the ball game, they go to a new one. Every time we figure it out, they go to a new one. For example, we've discussed it on my, of course, I'm going to plug it on my 4-hour podcast about the 100 names in Epstein's list. Epstein isn't even the only one in his own trafficking ring that killed himself by hanging in prison. It's not even the only guy that's happened to. If I remember right, it wasn't even 2 guys that it's happened to. It's been a few that have mysteriously hung themselves in prison under very improbable circumstances, right? So I don't know. That's just me. I'll stay off that topic for tonight, of course. But if you guys want to go down that rabbit hole, Jean-Luc Brunel, Jeffrey Epstein, they died in the exact same circumstances in their prison. Whenever we get hip to this, they start to figure it out and they do a different little routine. But they'll also just do the same thing and just hush the media if we don't find out about it quick enough, because they control the media. And by they, I just mean the general deep state. I'm not pointing big fingers tonight, because frankly, it was a vague statement. Who's the they when you're talking about the media, right? I would say really just the deep state in that case, because there's so many entities at play and there are so many parties involved. But yeah, chapter 2, why is this even possible? The system is totally broken on this. I think we need to stop pretending that there's plausible deniability. We need to start holding companies accountable. Well, I don't care if we boycott Bud Light because somebody is this or that with politics. We need to start boycotting real companies that do real damage or maybe involved in real scandal. I think that's the way we could phrase that while keeping it generic. Because again, it applies to everybody, everything. I'm unbiased when I say this. But here's where I actually want to live tonight. Not is it real? I just want to ask a better question. Why is it possible? Because forget trafficking for 1 second. we can forget that just for 1 second, but just look at the app itself. Like I brought up earlier, this is an $8 billion company. They just also raised $880 million in a single share sale. They're expanding to Australia. They are not broke, they are not small, and they are not new. Okay. I have a link for that one too. Shoot, every time I open it, it keeps going to my second screen. So I'll do my part to make it tidy here for the pod. For the pod. Think that'll work. There we go. So they kept this short and sweet, and I don't like it at all. Oh shoot, dang it. This one wasn't the article I wanted. I put my notes out of order here. Okay, so they just recently got that $8 billion valuation. That's what the other link was going to show me. I apologize. I'll try to find that here in a moment. But they just raised almost $1 billion right now, very recently. They're currently valued at $8 billion total. And again, these are actually euros, not dollars. I keep saying that. My apologies. So we'll just say it's roughly worth 10 billion US. Actually, I don't even want to do roughly. Let's pull that up. We're gonna do this on the screen here. I think it should be right around 10 billion though. Yeah, 9.15 billion, 9.15 billion US dollars. It just raised about $1 billion. It's expanding to Australia. All of this is rapidly happening, right? Now, we don't need to get into the weeds about child labor with clothes and this, that, and the other. I feel like that's like 3 other episodes on its own. But I'll just ask a very open-ended question out loud. Why is a company, I would say, raising 15% of its valuation overnight and expanding into a completely different continent to sell used clothes? That doesn't add up. Doesn't. An $8 billion company also built an app sophisticated enough to process millions of transactions, handle payments in 40 currencies, run buyer protection, do international shipping, but somehow could not build a system that goes, hey, this stuffed animal has a height and a weight and a gender behind it, and the word submissive. Maybe we flag that one to get a live person to review it. They can detect if you're selling a counterfeit purse. True story, by the way. Try it. If you don't believe me, try it. They can detect a counterfeit purse instantly. But submissive 15-year-old, satisfactory condition sails right through. It goes right through their TSA system, if you will. Make that make sense. They have AI that can tell a real Louis Vuitton from a fake one, but obedient, blue-eyed, 3 years old is apparently untrackable. Fascinating. And when it blew up, what was the response, by the way? Everyone's first move, the company, the fact checkers, and the news, their first move was to tell you to calm down, of course. The age field, this is a direct quote, the age field refers to the toy's intended age group. Another quote, it's auto-filled sizing data. Okay. Even if that were true, even if that's all innocent, do you hear how insane it is that your defense is, no. The field that says the child's age is actually just referring to what age the toy is for. You build a system where traffic child and toy for a 3-year-old produce the identical listing. That's not exonerating. That's part of the problem. The fact that you can't tell them apart is the entire issue, actually. Don't worry, by the way. The thing that looks exactly like a child being sold is actually just a normal listing that happens to be indistinguishable from a child being sold. Cool. Cool. That fixed it. The gap between a toy and a child on this platform is one text field. One. And that's the whole wall. That's their whole wall. Now that's the thesis. I don't need to prove a single child was sold to be furious about this. the fact that the entire system, or excuse me, the fact that the system cannot tell the difference, the fact that it's one field of text that cannot be analyzed with their algorithm, that alone should have somebody at that $8 billion company not sleeping at night. And as far as I can tell, that is not happening. They are sleeping just fine. Now, I gotta go ahead and gotta change some of my text. I'm trying to do live editing while I'm on the pod here. It ain't healthy. Don't do it this way. It's not good for you. Shout out Wifey Poo. Kiddo's a little upset. It is 10 p.m. Be quiet. It is 10 p.m. on July 5th. That's the time I'm recording this. So when you guys see it, it probably won't be July 6th. It might be July 7th. But Kiddo wasn't sleeping good tonight. And it wasn't my fault. We actually just put her down a little bit ago. She hasn't gone to sleep just yet. But anyways, speaking of sleep, my kiddo's not sleeping very good, but these CEOs and used clothes company salesmen are sleeping very good. They're sleeping great. Now we'll get into chapter 3 here in a moment. I just wanted to go back up and change one of my things that I was editing. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to get into chapter 3. This isn't the first time. This also isn't the worst time. Once before, this was very, very real. I want to put some weight behind this because a lot of you guys don't actually know this story. Now, here's the thing that makes me unable to just laugh this one off as internet nonsense. Because this exact thing, selling kids through a normal website, it's already happened for real, and it was enormous. And I'm not talking about Wayfair. I'm talking about something that has verifiable proof and a court case, not just fun online. Stay with me. There was a website called Backpage. It looked normal. Some of my older viewers, you guys already know what this is. You guys probably use it just like we use Craigslist, right? Classified ads. You'd sell a couch on it, basically. It became the single biggest hub for child sex trafficking in America. True story. The Human Trafficking Institute found that it was involved in 14 times the trafficking cases that Craigslist was. Now, here's the detail that should end the conversation. Backpage's moderators had a routine process for scrubbing the obvious words out of the ads. Not deleting the ads, just cleaning up the wording so the ads could stay up and keep making them money. Now, I'm going to see if this link will be good to me, because my computer's running a little slow right now. I honestly think I just need to do a little a classic restart for all my tech support guys out there. I need to just do a little reboot. Okay. So, I was trying to get my links to come up, but we're going to have to come back to that one because this one's applicable here in a second. Anyways, we're going to read that back a little bit slowly because we got off topic there. The website didn't remove the ads that were selling children. They had a system, a routine, a workflow, and an actual process with employees behind it to edit the wording so that the kids that were being sold looked clean enough to stay online because the ads made money. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a court case. That is history. That happened. And now we're going to talk about Desiree. Desiree Robinson is her name. Before we do, I just wanted to name drop her real quick so that way you guys can ponder and think about what we're talking about here. But again, Backpage, just real quick so that you guys can kind of see what it looked like. This is what it kind of looked like back in the day. It was just like it started like a forum. right? So you'd pick where you were to start, and then you'd go from there into your classifieds. You could buy anything. Anything. If you go on there right now, I think it's just a bunch of crap. If I remember right. I looked at that page like 5-10 years ago. I don't know when it was. It was a long time ago. But I looked at that page a long time ago when the Wayfair stuff happened, because I was reading into that and I found out about the Desiree case for the first time. I didn't know about her case when it first happened. I'll admit that, but I read about it briefly when the Wayfair thing happened, because people were drawing parallels to that then and yada yada. Anyways, this is what that looked like. Just a regular old thing. I don't know who that is. Oh, this is somebody that works for Backpage or was involved. Anyways, they used to do a lot more derogatory and provocative stuff. I think it's been cleaned up now, but I'm not confirmed on that one though. Now, anyways, I want to get into Desiree though, because this is probably the most important part of my thesis tonight, and a real reason why I'm gonna go a little crazy, and I'm not gonna, they got it. They're working on it. It's all fake. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna calm down. I'm not. So stay with me. We're gonna talk about Desiree Robinson. She was, yes, sadly, was a 16-year-old who was sold on Backpage. She was sold on Backpage for $250. And she texted a friend, "I'm in a bad situation. He won't let me leave." She was murdered. Her mother sued the website that allowed the advertisement. Her death is a big reason why we even know what's going on. And I'm not going to give you guys the details of it, because I think America fetishizes crime way too fucking much. Excuse my French. That will be my curse word for the night. America fetishizes true crime way too much. So I'm not going to do that, right? But just know she died. And it was horrific. It was violent. She didn't deserve it. She was, if I remember right, she was a junior in high school. She should have been getting ready for her junior prom. And yeah. She was sold for $250 on a website that millions of people used and probably still use to buy furniture today. Less than 10 years ago, I think is when this happened. Yeah, Christmas Eve. 2016. This happened in the south side of Chicago, too, which, not to get political, but it's a pretty violent area, right? Yeah. Now, this article, I'll have it in there for the people that want to read it and go crazy over it or whatever. You guys can do that. But I'm not going to scroll and show that on the screen, because same thing. It just salivates the whole situation. I get, now that I'm a dad, dude, I don't really like true crime. I don't. I get a little emotional about it. I'm a little stereotypical, I'll go hug my kid about it. I see something sad online, I go hug my kid. I think a lot of us do, and if you don't, a lot of us should. But anyways, this was less than 10 years ago. It's coming up on our 10th anniversary this year, or this December. So when somebody tells me that can never happen on a shopping app, it already did. On a bigger app, by the way. Way bigger app than Vinted. Backpage and Craigslist ran, so all of these apps could run. I mean, all of them. Everything from OfferUp to Vinted, right? Even Facebook Marketplace. So she lost her life to a bigger app that had a workflow in place to literally allow the behavior. So no, I'm not gonna calm down, and no, I will not feel silly for refusing to. Now that's why the Vinted listings hit a nerve the size of a canyon. Not because I'm paranoid, but because I remember. This pattern has a body count. The fear isn't irrational. It's actually sadly historical. Okay, as always, sorry, I'm color editing. I'm just putting my notes in where I might make a clip later. Hey, I gotta make my short form. Not all of you guys are gonna watch the full video, and that's fine. I've got the attention of a grapefruit myself. Okay, now this is chapter 4. This is the asterisk. This is the honest 10% to this pod, because I promised I'd be honest. So here's the honest part, and I'm not gonna weasel my way out of it. As of right now, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm filming this July 5th. Nobody has confirmed a single actual child was sold on Vinted. And it's not for lack of looking. I have some links in the description, as always, not to be redundant. But German police looked. The fact-checking group Mimikama looked. And I don't trust fact-checkers, but we'll throw them in with a grain of salt. Mimikama looked. Snopes looked. Snopes, by the way, is literally run by an adulterer. I think they're swingers, if I remember right. That started because the husband was cheating on the wife, and then he brainwashed the wife to go along with it, and now they're swingers or whatever. So I don't trust Snopes. It's literally a basement operation. They're not a real company. It's literally just a wife and husband that can't even get along in their own marriage, so they think they can tell everybody what the truth is? No, thank you. If that's going to be the case, trust me, because listen, my wife and I have a great relationship. Call me Spore. Spore Busters. Instead of Snopes, call it Spores. Spores. Spores fact checking. That's kind of cool. I like that. But anyways, Snopes looked into it. Vinted's own internal team looked. All 4 found no credible evidence of trafficking. Snopes couldn't even find the listings on the app. Euronews found that the weird ones that they spotted got pulled within 10 minutes. Frankfurt police said that, quote, strong indications some of these are fake ads. And here's the one thing that's actually fair. Mimikama pointed out a real trafficking ring probably wouldn't advertise on one of the most watched public apps on earth. That's like dealing drugs on a billboard over a police station. It doesn't really make sense. There's also this. One of the viral scary listings, French journalists tracked down the seller. It was a 17-year-old kid who posted it himself online to catch predators. Not a trafficker, just a teenager playing detective. And we've done this before. In 2020, everyone was certain the furniture site Wayfair was hiding trafficked kids in expensive cabinets. Total panic. Now, I wouldn't say it was completely debunked, but some of the girls came out and literally said, yo, I'm right here. Why is my name attached to this ad? So I think a lot of that was fake, but not every part of that was debunked. And I refuse to deny that or to say that that's the case. But it caused total panic. And the fake reports also flooded the real trafficking hotlines, which then made it harder to help actual victims. Stuff like this is part of the reason why I say we don't want to be the boy that cried wolf on topics like racism, rape, other forms of sexual abuse, other forms of abuse in general. We should not water down those terms, right? If somebody's a racist, and if they're a racist, I think we'll know. You don't got to go around pointing your finger and saying everybody's a racist. I think their behavior will pretty clearly define them. And I'm going to be a little bit brash when I say this, but hookup culture has led to a lot of false reports on rape and sexual abuse. And that's a fact. I phrased it that way on purpose. What I said is factually true. There has been an increase in false reporting because of hookup culture. I never said it's related and caused by it. I said since this has become a trend, there's been an increase. So I think words have definitions, and we should allow them to remain defined as the English language defined them. But if there's real cases of abuse, we need to be talking about it. And just Vinted having these ads in the first place without having any they don't have any framework to catch this and disallow this from being being posted, I feel like that's not hard to fix. I feel like we could really fix that one pretty quickly. Again, because they can detect fake merchandise being sold on their platform, but they can't put in just a little text-based filter that makes it a little harder for these weasels and perverts to be rodents and perverts. I mean, come on. Come on. So I'm going to say the responsible thing plainly one more time. No sarcasm. There is currently no proof that a real child was trafficked on this app. If you leave here telling people Vinted is confirmed selling kids, you're lying. And you might be clogging the exact hotlines that help real victims. Don't do that. I mean it. But none of that, not one word of it, answers the question that I actually asked. I never said they're definitely doing it. I asked, why is this possible? And the fact checkers found no evidence, quote, does not answer why can a listing on a child's app say 15 female submissive, satisfactory, or in satisfactory condition in the first place? Those are different questions. They keep answering the one that I did not ask. Now we're going to get into Chapter 5. This is just my rapid fire. Okay, a lot of these are going to be clips later on YouTube. So if you see it now, just skip my short form content for the week. But why does a stuffed animal have a weight in kilograms? You don't ship a teddy bear by body weight. You don't put a bunny on a scale. The only thing on earth you describe by age and height and weight at the same time is a person. So why is that field filled in? I'm not asking rhetorically. I want the $8 billion company to answer it. The other one I have that I want to talk about rapidly too is the price. An air conditioner remote, 20,000 euros. Either it's the most expensive remote in human history, or the remote was never the product. Now I've thought about this for a while. I cannot find a third option. If you have one, the comments, as always, are open. Feel free to let me know. Now, the gap between a toy and a child on this app is one text field. One. That's their whole wall. An $8 billion company, and the only thing standing between a plush toy and a trafficked kid is whether somebody typed the word obedient. That should terrify the people who built it. They seem fine. Everybody's saying this could never happen on a shopping app. Should Google one word. Back page. 16-year-old girl sold for $250. Murdered. On a website that people use to buy couches. Again, like I said, this was less than 10 years ago. It already happened on a bigger app that had the workflow to allow it to occur. And everybody certain that this is trafficking should Google another word. Wayfair. 2020, same panic. Some of it was fully debunked. Others still mysterious. However, like I said, the fake reports jammed up real trafficking hotlines. So being wrong in either direction hurts real kids. That's why I'm asking questions instead of screaming answers. Now, there are grown adults right now making fake trafficking listings to farm clout, using the idea of a stolen child as a content strategy. Every one of these fake listings buries a real lead. If that's you, you're not a hero. You're a guy doing a TikTok on top of a potential crime scene. Stop. I'm a father. So here's the only takeaway that matters. The gap between a toy and a child on some of these apps is one line of text. Know what's on your kid's phone. Know how it works. That's not paranoia. In 2026, that's just your job, fathers. Okay, so let me land this honestly, because the sarcasm's done here. I don't know if a single child was sold on that app. Neither do the police yet. Anyone telling you they know for sure in either direction is selling you something. But here's what I do know for a fact with no asterisk, nothing to debunk. An $8 billion company built a system where a trafficked toy and child are indistinguishable. Their defense is that they can't tell them apart. However, they already have the infrastructure to do it with other types of merchandise. Now, it's happened before. It's got a body count. Don't forget Desiree. Please say her name. Please don't let her die for no reason. She is not a fear tactic. She is a historical precedent. Half of the internet's response to the possibility of trafficked kids, sadly, has been to make content out of it. Even myself, for example, I'm about a 10% hypocrite for doing this own episode, but I'm doing it from the lens of, holy crap, we need to be talking about it. Not from the lens of, I'm going to fake something disgusting online and get clout out of it. Fakes for clicks. That's what buries the real thing. Now, that's the actual horror. It's not the teddy bear. It's the fact that we have built a world where are they selling kids on a shopping app is a believable enough question that 3 governments open investigations, and also a world where the response to it is to farm it for views instead of to protect one actual child. Both of those are true. Both of them should make you sick, and not one of them needs the conspiracy confirmed to be a real documented problem. So no, I'm not telling you that Vinted is trafficking children. I'm telling you that they built a machine that can't tell the difference and then told us to relax. I'm a dad. I don't relax. It's part of my job. The investigation is open. We'll follow it. If something real surfaces, you'll hear it from me first with receipts. That's a promise. I'm Ethan Page. Let's turn the pages.